I just have a few slides is all I've got here, and I'm going to kind of work through these pretty quickly. We have some meat scientists here, and we have some ultrasound technicians here. So if we look at, and Dr. Sable actually talked about this just a little bit, what's happened to the prime and upper choice marbling scores in the industry? They've gone up, up, and up. And with the American Angus Association, I see sitting here, and then I go back to John Crouch. And I don't know the numbers exactly, but we were doing 300,000 animals a year, yearlings, if I remember right, ultrasound wise, going into the genetic evaluation. Did ultrasound have anything to do with this improvement in quality grade that we're seeing today? I say yes. I think it had a big impact on it. Now, did cheap corn have an impact on that? Probably so. We're feeding cattle longer, probably so. All those things come into combination. But when I get to really what happens, this is the newest slide I could pick up there. We're seeing that trending down just a little bit, but when we're still at that 79, 80% upper choice and prime, I think we as animal breeders have done a really good job of helping the consumer get a product that they want. That's what I'm most, I guess, thankful for. But I ask questions now. We've got a meat scientist or two in the group. We've got some that are not meat scientists. Ribeye area and fat thickness. Can ultrasound do a good job of quantifying those in a live animal as it relates to a carcass? Dr. Ty Lawrence and I, we battle about this all the time. Which one is more correct? And I will tell him that I think I am more correct all the time on ribeye and fat collection if I'm trying to make genetic improvements. That's the caveat to that, because he will tell you that he is more accurate because of what reason? He calculates what is being paid for. So if we're trying to make genetic improvements, it really makes sense to me to use ultrasound technology or any of the other technology we talked about. But this just happens to be one with Ultrasound Guidelines Council that I think we have done a fabulous job. And why would I say that about ribeye and fat thickness using ultrasound? If you look at that ultrasound image, what is in the very bottom of that? And we've got some technicians at the back there. If we look at that image, what tells me I'm dead between the 12th and 13th rib there? Are there things that I can see in that image that tells me that I am between those? And I'm consistent every time that I would get those a different animal scanned. That's probably a correct statement. Now, if I take that ribeye up to the upper left and I take a knife and I'm 5 foot tall and I take the bottom and I go up, do I get between the 12th and 13th rib right down the middle every time? Very challenging. If I'm 6'6", I start at the top and I go down. Is that different? I say that it is different. So if I truly want to make genetic differences and I'm selecting herd sires or breeding females, I still think that ultrasound does a much better job. Now then, is that the same answer I would give you here? If we're going to collect intramuscular fat, and again, Dr. Greiner was probably part of this project where we looked at this longitudinal value of intramuscular fat. We place a box and we get between probably 2 of those ribs. We're not exactly between the ribs where we see this open face. We're looking at intramuscular fat. So which one is doing a better job? My opinion, the packing plant is doing a much better job because they're actually taking that interface. That's the amount. If I do it ether extractable fat, that's probably what I'm getting. Ultrasound, I'm not sure we are. One, we're looking at it at a different angle. I think we're looking at more encompassing more depth in that ribeye muscle. So I think that in reality, ultrasound needs some improvements in the intramuscular fat model. And that's what UGC has tried to take upon themselves and do that. We've talked some about carcass grading using a camera today. Is that perfect? It's not perfect. Now, as I'm a breeder right here and I sold this calf here, did I get an advantage because of this grading here? Look at the 2 differences. That's the same carcass, one side versus the other side. They got paid for a yield grade 2. Was that animal probably a yield grade 3? If I'd ultrasound, I'd called it a yield grade 3 because I do see some fat missing. They gave the benefit of the doubt, called it a yield grade 2. Okay, so camera data is not perfect, but we can gather a lot of phenotypes with this. So as cattle breeders out there, can we collect enough of this data? So I challenge you that are out there selling bulls, and you can get the progeny and follow those through, whether you own them or not own them, and we can start collecting these phenotypes and using the camera data. I think we can make a lot of progress by doing that. Transition into the reason I was actually up here to talk was really just give you a quick update on the Ultrasound Guideline Council. We provided a certification at West Texas A&M University the last 2 years This last year, we actually provided 2 sets of cattle. We scanned 2 days in a row. So we had about, well, I don't know exact numbers. Were there 92 animals, 86 animals and nitrates? I don't remember. Some were just under 100 animals in those 2 days. This is the variation. And you meet scientists in the room will tell me, that's a pretty good variation, right? We had ether extractable fat of 0.15. What do you think that animal was? Almost dead, huh? Right now. He was actually about an 800-pound bull. And he was a highly stressed bull because he was scanned 2 days in a row. But he did not have any intramuscular fat. He was ultra lean. In that we had, and I think the ether extractable fat, if you really was at 15.85, those were some of our cloned progeny. Many of you have heard of the Prime 1 project that we have going on. Those were progeny from Dr. Luss's project, where we actually took his heifers, bought some cull heifers, some cull bulls, late cut them, and we put them in. And those are extremely high marbling cattle in there. So we had a huge range that they do. So some of the technologies, the 3 labs, well, I should say 2 labs, actually paid to ultrasound these cattle and get this wide range and to actually update the algorithms in their models for intramuscular fat. That's basically what they were trying to do. We tried to give them enough variation that they could do that. If you look at these Pearson correlations, and we look at the old technology, the Loca 500, which is being phased out rapidly because we no longer have that machine out there. We can't get them worked on. Is it perfect? By no means. Does it look like it's inferior to the new technologies on board? Certainly looks like it is. Would tell us that we need to move forward. Are those accurate enough? Probably so. Again, you look at ribeye again. I told Ty Lawrence that he captured the data wrong, of course, because our correlations are quite lower there. But we blame it on Ty and not anyone else. All right, so if you can kind of read these bullets here, what happens here, this is what went on after that process. We did have new IMF models approved by Ultrasound Guidelines Council. The Evo 3, which many of you are going to start using the Evo 3, would be my guess. Your technicians are out there now using the Evo 3. I really like the image quality on those, doing an exceptional job on the medial end that we didn't see on the Evo 2. But we did get models approved with ILIA, Ultra Insights, and the Cup Lab on the Evo 3. Evo 2, also the same thing was happening for ILIA and Ultra Insights, and I'm assuming that Cup Lab did not update their models on Evo 2. It's all I can do because this is what I got back from Patrick Wall in that era. The new IMF models for the quote Neoloca versus Olaloca were actually approved as well. They were modified and made better, but that was specific to the PX200 frame grabber board. Those that are familiar with that will understand that. Now then, this is what got kicked out. So there is a technology now that they cannot use in seed stock analysis. So what we call the shoot side or BIO Pro is no longer and can no longer be used by breed or should not be used by breed associations based on UGC. That belongs to one lab. That lab is in Arkansas. Now, that does not say that you cannot collect, your technician cannot collect images using this software, because they can, but it's got to go to the ILIA lab. They have to process it through their new algorithms, cannot be done at shoot side. So if your technician's out there trying to give you seed stock data using this Pro Plus, and I think there's only 6 of us qualified in the United States to do that, they cannot provide that to breed associations, should not provide those to breed associations. So, and these is just to kind of summarize the CX100 versus PX200. Most of you would not know what those are, but those are the frame grabber boards that impact those. But know that some got removed from these particular technologies, and you cannot use those, and please do not use those. I want to throw this one to breeders in the room and breed association reps that we actually have here. There is talk with UGC Systems Review Committee to actually put together another project to redo what Dr. William Herring did in 1998 to look at same cattle, but with different systems that were involved in that. And if you remember this particular project, and I think that might be my next slide there, the names on the bottom there, many of you will not recognize because they're no longer in the industry, but we could put together a set of cattle and let all systems come in at the same time, same cattle, and see which ones are actually performing to the level they need to. So we can continue to make advancements in, again, in my case, intramuscular fat is where I think we need the most improvement from a seed stock standpoint. But we need breeding association reps to help push us that, because that's going to be a costly research project. I don't know that UGC has enough money to get that accomplished, but we need to put our resources together and try to get that one accomplished if we can. This is just a summary of the 2022 certification. These are the technologies or the hardwares that are actually being used out there that got approved and will be approved until 2024. If you look at, there's quite a variation there, but we're going to see the Evos and the Exagos actually replacing a lot of these. The Locus is what we're going to see. Through this, and then just going to show that we do have 9 Canadians certified. We have 5 Brazilians certified through UGC in the United States, and there's 111 Americans. There's not enough technicians, so if you want to get in the business, we could certainly get you trained up and get you there. Last slide that I have, I believe we are going to host the 2023 certification in Canyon again this year, WT. Looks like we're going to have it at least 2 days. We'll run 2 sets of cattle again. I think we're supposed to have a big influx of technicians come in this year for recertification. So as you can see, we're going to have, I'm going to shoot for 20 shoots lined up this year instead of 15 in our arena so that we can scan those cattle efficiently through there and get as many technicians certified in a day and maybe 2. And you'll see a lot of my students involved in that helps us out there at WT. With that, I'll open it up to questions. We've got Becky, Kelly, we got folks in here that can answer some of the questions behind the scenes. If you've got questions about some of the new algorithms and what they actually did and made those changes. I get phone calls often, mainly from the Brahman influence breeds, about cattle being re-ranked now because of the changes in these algorithms. Any specific questions you might have that we can answer? If not, we appreciate your attendance at this subcommittee seminar, and I guess we'll see you this afternoon on the tour. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.